All who thirst for freedom may come with us.
X gon' give it to ya. We gon' give it to ya. X gon' give it to ya. We gon' give it to ya. First we gonna rock, then we gonna fall, then we let it pop, don't let it go. Come on. X gon' give it to ya. We gon' give it to ya. X gon' give it to ya.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 12 of Exodus Americanus. I'm Stone. Joining me is Roscoe. Today's the big day. We got the Super Bowl, the Superb Owl.
The Superb Owl. I don't want to get sued by those cunts.
The Superb Owl going on tonight between a codgerly old white man and some upstart black youth guy.
Some
Is
vibrant
that how we
black
want to say
youth.
it? He's dapper.
Shit, those
Isn't that the name? Oh no, it's called the dab.
I don't
The little
know.
dance he does.
I mean, I don't necessarily dislike Scam Luton, but I mean, he's a low hit away from being the next RG3.
I could see that.
Well, I mean, when you have quarterbacks like, him and RG3 before he got hurt, their ability to threaten the line of scrimmage forces the defenses to go into a lot of single coverage stuff. And so really they're not seeing quote unquote real NFL defenses when they're able to, threaten the line of scrimmage like that. Like the second that RG3 got trapped back there behind the line of scrimmage after his knee, he started seeing the same defenses as, basically everybody else in the league, and he couldn't handle it.
And now he's looking for a job,
Right?
along with Johnny Manziel.
Woo-wee. What a... I don't know. I was hoping Johnny Manziel would pull his head out of his ass, honestly.
He's shoved it further up there, if anything. I mean, man, how many times has he had the police called on him in the last 2 months?
Jesus. I mean, my dad once told me that there were three types of people. He said the smartest type of person can learn from watching other people screw up and not make the same mistakes. Your average person learns from their own mistakes, and a fool can't learn from either. I think we know where old Johnny lines up on that. Ah, shit. So who you got tonight?
I'm going to say the Broncos.
That is a much.
I'm ready.
That bet is
Okay,
that bet's it's a lot more of a economic bet than the Panthers. I think to get $100 back on the Panthers, you have to bet like 240.
Damn. I'm just ready for Peyton to be done. So I'm hoping he wins so he can retire.
Man, well, I would love to. I guess maybe that's not the right word. It would be interesting to see America's reaction if he just basically gets crippled tonight.
I mean, he might. That run against the Patriots 2 weeks ago was the longest one in like 15 years in his career. And he looked like he was missing his walk. Oh shit! Did you see that? That Taiwanese company that does like they do the news, but they do it like those with those computer graphics. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
Like they just do like computer animation of like things, and they did one on the Broncos Patriots game, and they had him like being like in like a minivan with like a wheelchair lift, and him sitting in like a rascal. It lowered him down to the field, and he threw the ball.
Wow.
I'll have to look for that link later.
Good old
But it
sport
is-
ball.
It's fucking hilarious.
I know there's a lot of consternation on the alt-right about sports. And, I see a lot of their complaints. But the way that I watch sports, I don't invest a lot of myself. A lot of my happiness isn't tied up in whether or not these teams win or lose. Like I don't spend a lot of brain power on it outside of the few hours that I'll sit down and watch a game in the week.
Yeah, I mean, I was upset when the Bengals lost, but that's because they absolutely blew the fucking game.
It's because they sharted
They-
all over themselves. I've seen a lot
If they
of bed shitting in my time. More epic bed shitting. The Vikings shitting the bed on that field goal, or the Bengals just completely losing their composure?
Bengals.
Yeah. Laces out,
for
right?
sure. I mean, that was just one small play. The Bengals had like 8 in a row.
They kept having chances to perform triage and save themselves. They just couldn't do it.
So speaking of other shit shows, the last debate, Republican debate before New Hampshire was last night. I didn't watch it, but I've seen all the headlines.
I actually watched
And
it this morning. Last night, we'll go into what I chose to do instead of watching the debate last night later. But I did watch it this morning, and man, I don't know what it is about George Stephanopoulos. I just want to stuff him into a sack and then beat that sack with a length of rebar.
Oh man, that's funny. But there's what is there? 8 people left, and one of them didn't get to make the debate. So we have the Fuhrer, we have the Bird Lady who didn't make it, we have a Hut, we have a what a sleep like a sleeping pill,
Are you talking
a
about
lizard person.
old Yeb?
Sleep pill. I was talking about benzo.
I was gonna
person.
say, I mean, there's a few dudes up there that put me to sleep. Kasich. Whew. So
We got Yeb, the lizard person. Well, I guess Cruz would be more of a lizard person than Yeb.
well, all right. So I've never been a Yeb supporter at any time. I've never necessarily hated Yeb. I mean, there's just doesn't seem like there's much there to hate. You know what I mean? But then I saw the size of that guacamole bowl he was peddling. It's like what, $65, $70 guacamole bowl that holds like less than a serving.
Damn. I didn't look at it, but that's funny.
That's
I
fucked
always,
up.
whenever I look at Yeb, I go back and think of that is that real short-lived cartoon show. I think it was on like Comedy Central back when his older brother was president,
Mhm.
called That's My Bush,
Yep, I remember.
about when they were kids, and Yeb was a literal retard. That's all I could think about when I look at him. His dumb little face.
Good old Comedy Central. It's nice to see that they picked a side.
Yeah.
I mean, like I got into an argument with this chick that thinks she's super fucking smart. Maybe like a year ago, I was shit talking John Leibowitz, and she was informing me that Leibowitz and Culbertson, the guy that did the Colbert Report, Steve Culbertson. She was telling me, well, those are two of the most popular shows in our. Like I was telling her why they suck, and why I don't find postmodern snark to be funny. Because I mean, that's all either of those shows are. It's just like shitty, like ninth grade level snark. That's the best they can do.
Mm-hmm.
She informed me that I was, like, well, those are two of the most popular shows in our demographic. And I said, well, exactly. Anything that's popular is automatically super good. And she deleted me from her Facebook friends.
Man, I've been cleaning house on my Facebook friends lately.
Oh,
Like
if I want,
I think I've got at least 50 less.
it's pretty cathartic. Like what I do instead of deleting people, I just wait for them to post something stupid and then tell them they're stupid. Like there's this chick that was trying to climb Mount Roscoe back before I got married, and she was like telling me about how she was a conservative and stuff. I guess because she, was trying to climb Mount Roscoe, and like I was listening to her talk, and I was like, "Sweetheart, you're not a conservative. Like you're just a liberal from 20 years ago."
That's exactly what it is.
But
I mean,
she started posting shit about supporting fucking Bernie Sanders. So the first time I saw that, I posted, it's like, hey, remember that time about 5 years ago I told you were not a conservative or right-leaning in any way, shape, or form? Yeah, I'm not. I was surprised to see she deleted me.
immediately.
Yeah, like Me not sleeping with her wasn't enough for her to delete me.
Insulting her narrow political views. Or they're probably not even political views. She just likes free stuff.
Well, I don't even fucking know. Like, that's one thing about the Bernie thing. Like, I guess the only way I could understand somebody being a Bernie supporter is if they literally don't know anything about anything. Like, you have to have absolutely no understanding of history, economics, like no grasp of any type of, like, even the most rudimentary grasp of any type of, like, natural law or any philosophy at all. Like, to be a Bernie supporter, you have to know nothing about nothing.
It's that liberal education, state education.
Yeah. So one thing that I have discussed with my old lady is about when we have kids, whether or not we're going to homeschool. And she was talking about, like basically like trying to, talk up the public schools. I was like, really think about the quality of your public education. Like if the two of us couldn't replicate that, like we deserve to be taken out back and shot in the head. Like 13 fucking years of having our kids, like having us, and we're basically ready to what? Flip a burger? 13 years and they get us ready to almost flip a burger.
Yeah. I mean,
like I've got a pretty radical view on our education system. I'm like, shutter the fucking doors and let people figure this shit out on their own.
give it back to the states.
Yeah, like, I don't give a fuck what they do with it because I'm not putting my kid in there to be indoctrinated by a bunch of goddamn cat ladies.
Well, I told you I showed my old man those graphs I made that we talked about in the last episode,
Oh,
where
man.
the higher the minority population is in a state, percentage-wise, the lower the state ranking is. And I showed him that, and he was like, you know what? I've always been thinking about how education has how we performed internationally since the Department of Education was instituted.
Mm-hmm.
And now he asked me if I would go back and look at that, look at the years before we had the DOE and see how we ranked, and then
Years
to
after.
now. I mean, it's got to be a dramatic.
What year
fall
was
off.
the Department of Education instituted?
Let's take a look.
Because, there's a lot of shit. Like, I don't want to say that, like, the 1965 Immigration Act was the start of everything going to shit. But I bet our school system started to trend downwardly after that.
Began operating on May 4th, 1980. It was a Jimmy Carter Act.
Jimmy fucking Carter. Man, how many Christian babies did he when he left the White House? Like 13?
13 Christian babies.
Ah, man. But
I was thinking of the exact same thing.
I was thinking that maybe I should read a real history book instead of that one my dad wrote for me.
Jimmy Carter leaves office in disgrace. Jimmy Carter eats 13 Christian babies.
So let me tell you a little story about my childhood. I think I was in like junior high or a freshman in high school. But after football practice, my dad was dropping off one of my teammates, one of my friends, and we drove past this like way out in the boonies where we were. Like at that time, we were starting to see a lot of like basically illegal immigrant shanty towns around logging areas. We drove by a field of a bunch of beaners playing soccer. My dad stops the truck, rolls down the window, and says, "Why don't you go back to your own fucking countries, you goddamn communists?" My dad defines soccer as an inherently communist sport. So more often than not, it ends in a fucking tie, and everybody gets to feel good about themselves. It's good I was inoculated against the virus of progressivism at a young age.
Damn soccer hooligans. Socialists, every single one of them.
That being said, if I had a chance to go to a World Cup game, I would probably take it as long as it were in a Western nation.
Oh, I'd go in a heartbeat.
Hmm.
I was thinking about actually going down to Brazil last year. Was that last year? No, well, almost. It was 2014.
Oh man, I guess it would be kind of fun to see a failed state in person. But I mean, just wait around here for a few more years.
Exactly.
So did you?
All right. Do you want to get back to the debate real quick?
I was gonna ask
We
the
got
same question.
Yeah, because we got that we've got Marco Rubio getting a blue screen of death on his brain
Because
last night.
the Rubio operating system completely crashed last night. I guess it couldn't handle Chris Christie's girth because he's the one.
Does not compute.
I think it. You know, let's. You said you had a little audio from that for us to enjoy.
Yeah, from I just took a cut from or Fox News put together a cut and I cut it down a little bit further. So here it is. I'll play it real quick.
Under Chris Christie's governorship of New Jersey, they've been downgraded 9 times in their credit rating. This country already has a debt problem. We don't need to add to it by electing someone who has experience at running up and destroying the credit rating of his state.
That's what Washington, D.C. does. The drive-by shot at the beginning with incorrect and incomplete information, and then the memorized 25-second speech. When you're president of the United States, when you're a governor of a state, the memorized 30-second speech where you talk about how great America is at the end of it doesn't solve one problem for one person.
So your state got hit by a massive snowstorm 2 weeks ago. You didn't even want to go back. They had to shame you into going back. So here's the bottom line. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just not
There
true.
it is.
He knows exactly
there it
what
is,
he's
the memorized 25-second speech.
Let's dispel once and for all with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just not
There
true.
it is.
Let's dispel with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He is trying to change this country. He wants America to become more like the rest of the world. Anyone who believes that Barack Obama isn't doing what he's doing on purpose doesn't understand what we're dealing with here.
Oh man.
Like when I was watching that debate, there were a few moments that I just couldn't even. And him, like every time he hit that line, it was like a like a record scratching on a needle. I mean, you and I think we mentioned last time about the manufactured media storm of Rubio rising.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think old boy's going to be doing much rising after that. And honestly, I don't think Christie is going to see much of an uptick from it.
I mean, he might get a little bit, but yeah, he's not gonna.
I think he's just, has too much mass to gain too much momentum.
It takes him a while to get going. Yeah, I got the latest polls from Real Clear. The lowest is the Monmouth poll, and it has Trump at 30. These are all today. We got Monmouth, we have him at 30, CNN 33, Boston Herald 31, UMass 36, and ARG 31. So he's holding pretty steady.
He's holding pretty steady, but if it's one thing we should never underestimate, it is the Republican establishment's willingness to steal elections. I mean, you can go as far back as Pat Buchanan to get real clear examples of them pulling a whole bunch of shady shit. And I think a lot of eyes are on what happened in Iowa. I think they're.
I mean, between Cruz's shit and the establishment's, complete and utter fuck ups.
I'm almost thinking there's some straight up fucking fraud going on.
That's what I mean by fuck ups.
Because like I feel like a lot of shadiness went on, and I kind of feel like Rubio's inflated numbers were stolen from Trump.
They could have been. I mean,
that's all conjecture.
Yeah, I mean, Trump is polling, what, a little over 30 in Iowa, and he only came away with 24. And Cruz was polling. I guess Cruz hit right on his numbers, but Rubio's were way up. They double
Rubio
against
was
Poland.
way up, and Trump was way down.
So I mean, it's a little bit harder for them to medal in a primary.
Yeah,
I think because
like we talked about,
caucus
the
is just
caucus is a show.
yeah. And the more and more I read about it, the less and less sure I am about it.
I mean,
It's
yeah, the guy that we're pulling for lost, but
he only lost by one delegate.
yeah, he lost by one delegate, and Iowa doesn't predict the winners. Ain't like that. I mean, do you see anybody else getting like? Geez, did Benzo Carson? Like, I don't think Benzo Carson had a line until like 45 minutes in.
Of the debate.
Yeah, like it was a long like. There's this weird shit going on like before like debate doesn't even start yet, and old Benzo's like not willing to go on the stage or something, or he couldn't hear like them announce him. But if you go on YouTube and you find the debate from last night, like from the very beginning, it's like what's going on. It's a mess.
I thought it was pretty cool that Trump stayed back with him though
Yeah.
and made him announce him again.
Well, what was funny when they announced Trump again, they said, last but not least, or something about Trump, and introduced him again. They still had a guy to go. Still had a guy they hadn't introduced yet. Old Kasich limps up on stage. I mean, what are you doing, Kasich? Go back to
And then he had
Ohio.
that line, I should be running in the Democratic primary.
Well, fucking go,
Yeah.
bro. Nobody's gonna miss
Yeah.
you.
Can't tell the difference between your policies anyway.
Ain't gonna break my heart, dude.
And what else we got that happened? Trump
Well, one thing.
just putting the audience in place.
Oh my God, that was good. That was real good. One thing.
And then they kind of like moderated themselves afterwards, I saw.
Uh-huh. And I think that's one of the powerful things about the Trump candidacy is taking away that power of the establishment. It's been pretty good. Been pretty good.
I mean, it's like that on both sides, even with old Byrne. He's not somebody that the DNCE wants in.
No, but like I said before, I think once we really start getting into this shit, the DNC primary is going to be so much more interesting than the Republican one.
Especially if Biden hops in.
That all depends on whether or not old Madam Clinton faces the indictments. I wanted to throw something at you like that, or about that real quick.
Mm-hmm.
We would both love to see her indicted, right?
Not more than anything. Well, not more than anything.
But
it's up there.
I've been thinking about her being indicted a lot lately. And one thing I've thought about is at this point, we know we've lost agents because of those leaks.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. One thing I wanted to throw out real quick, if our 5 or 6 listeners haven't heard it yet, check out Stefan Molyneux's video about the Clinton emails. It is raises a lot of good points. And one thing he talks about, like if that information is actually where it's supposed to be on a state, a government computer, they know most of the time when attacks have happened, when information has been breached, when security's been breached. Mm-hmm. So when they have that shit within the government servers, they know where they need to adjust their intelligence and their operating procedures. But because of her doing all that shit on her own bathroom server, the armed forces, the CIA, everybody conducting operations has no idea what's compromised. No clue. But one thing we do know is there's a lot of guys who think they've lost friends because of Hill Dog's shenanigans. I don't know if the listeners have, you talk to a veteran, just a guy who's a fucking grunt or a cop, and talk to them about their partner, their guy that they are basically stapled to. The bro bond that happens, when you're basically forced to help another dude survive, and he has to keep you alive. It was magnified a great deal in the espionage community. And you and I both know what happens if, some criminal shitbag kills a cop and gets off with it.
Mm-hmm.
The blue watches out for each other. And I feel like that goes a little bit further once we climb up the ladder to the CIA, the FBI. So if Hillary doesn't get indicted...
The people that don't exist.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of these people with a whole lot of grudges if Hill Dog doesn't get indicted. So I think there'll be, if she doesn't get indicted, there'll be stuff leaked. I don't think that one of these guys is going to set up on a clock tower and turn her into the pink mist that she so rightly deserves. But I think it could be pretty damn interesting if she's not indicted.
I mean, look at all the people that the Clintons have been alleged to have knocked off over the years to keep their scandals going, or keep their scandals under wraps. And I mean, I would say watch out for Clinton family members, or in close confidants like Huma.
I would love to see her thrown in jail.
She'll probably be the first out of all of it because they'll probably sacrifice her to try to save Hill Dog.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing about it is now we know that Hill Dog was corresponding with the president over that unsecured server.
Yeah, the one I never emailed her.
And you see that's one of the things that I think is interesting, because there's a point where I was, I think the Obama administration will allow the indictment to happen to sort of open up the field for old man Biden. But if that thread keeps unraveling all the way to Pennsylvania Avenue,
yeah. I mean, Biden. He could probably keep Biden safe from that, but I don't know. He wants more than anything to secure his legacy. I think
that's
what he thinks is his legacy. So he might end up throwing Biden under the bus too.
I think he would. I don't think there are. I mean, I agree with the people that say that he's got a whole lot of narcissism and shit going on. I don't want to get too Freudian, trying to examine him. I mean, I feel like I've always known what Obama was. And
I think Rubio knows what he is.
Do you think Rubio would go out there and say that Obama knows exactly what he's doing?
He's been known to say that in the past.
At least once or twice he's on the record for saying that.
Yeah. Just a couple.
But I mean, I guess I see Obama as a through and through ideologue. I see the Clintons as political entrepreneurs. I mean, I don't think the Clintons believe in anything.
Except making more money. They left the White House broke. Yeah, they had, 4 or 5 houses?
Yeah.
Making $125,000 plus per speech.
And one thing I think is important is being technically correct. I think that's the best kind of correct. And technically, Hillary Clinton should not be allowed to run for any type of elected office in our country because all that fucking shit they stole from the White House. Like when you get into the minutia, I can't remember exactly where it is in the legislation. But basically, stealing anything from the government means that you can't run again. And there's not really any debate about whether or not they stole that shit. Like anything that wasn't nailed down, they just took it with them.
I think Martin O'Malley did the same thing when he left the governor's house in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had everything declared as junk, and then he bought it all for like $8,000. But he bought like all the furniture and all the artwork and everything. So O'Malley, another Democrat who just fucked off the race on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
But another one who stole everything that wasn't nailed down, basically.
Yeah. So now, one of the things I really enjoy is I don't know. When I say conspiracy theory, I don't necessarily mean like President Eisenhower meeting with little green men, but like the Clintons conspiring to cover up the drugs that were being flown into Arkansas. Now, that's the type of conspiracy shit that I get into. But from all the like, if you want to be really disgusted about what our establishment government is and the things that they'll go through to protect, look up the Franklin cover up, and more specifically, I think it is Dave McGowan's book, Program to Kill. Like, that's some brutal bullshit. But there is no denying that some pretty high up people in our government are into some deep pederasty. Like, shit.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking up.
Who's the dude?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein is the U.S. version of I'm trying to remember, that's Jimmy Savile over in the UK. Jimmy Savile and Epstein are basically the same guy. They're a guy.
Yeah, Jimmy Savile was the guy who worked for the BBC, right? He was like the producer, wasn't that him?
He provided and he provided young boys for government officials.
Yeah.
But
fucking disgusting. But yeah, you want me to go on Jeffrey Epstein real quick? I have the Judicial Watch, Washington Examiner thing up real quick.
Well, before you go into that, I think it's important to note that Bill Clinton has spent a lot of time with Epstein on his jets, on his private islands, etc. That Epstein
the
has
jet
donated.
was called. It was dubbed the Lolita Express.
Yeah. He was at Chelsea's wedding and has donated precipitously to the Clinton Crime Foundation, or I mean the what is it? The Clinton Global Initiative.
The Clinton Crime Foundation.
But yeah.
Right.
Tell us about this dirty son of a bitch Epstein.
All right. Well, he's a billionaire. I don't know how he got all his money. Probably peddling kids.
Is he a real billionaire, or is he like a balance sheet billionaire, like under and shit?
I mean, he has his own island, so.
Eh.
Well, basically, he flew all these famous people out to this island where he would have
young boys, young girls
and boys, yeah, children basically, to
and I'm not talking
service.
I'm not talking like 17-year-olds that are like that hit puberty early. We're talking about a lot worse than that.
Yeah, there's one. I mean, she was 15 when she filed charges in Florida. I mean, now she's well, this is in December of 2014, and she was 31. So, knock off 16 years, 1998. So, if Clinton was there, I mean, he was still in the White House at this point.
Yeah, and
having sex with children.
That's what it. There's shit out there that's about that kind of thing that gets lumped into the same category as like UFOs and Bigfoot, and I don't necessarily think that's fair to file that in the same place when we know this guy has his own pedophile private island.
Yeah, I mean, there's the flight logbooks with, who was on the flight, and Bill Clinton is on there. Secret Service agents are on there.
And you can't, like, it's so funny about like a lot of this pedophile stuff. I don't want to go into that much on the show because it's really disturbing stuff.
I know, and I feel like we talk about pedophiles way too much.
Well,
but that's what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with normal people.
Well,
we're dealing with disgusting pieces of shit who take advantage of children.
Mr. Stone, if you remember, like, it may have been like 3 or 4 years ago, but I told you, like I said, these sick bastards want to fuck our kids. Like, I remember I was talking to you about the like, we're going to see all kinds of pedophile mainstreaming and, a normalization of pedophilia because these sick fucks want to fuck our kids. I mean, that's why what happened in Rotherham was, kind of what cemented me that I had to do something like this.
Yeah, talk about it because no one else is.
I mean, shit. It was one of my New Year's resolutions was to stop saying I mean and know, or you know what I mean on the podcast. Whew. But like, shit. There's another amateur radio bullshit thing. I need a zapper that buzzes me when I say like, you know, or the is. But from what I've seen on Rubio and using my spider sense to sort of parse through information, I'm thinking old Rubio might have been passed around like a cock sleeve amongst some of the old GOP establishment.
He may well have been. I mean, you could just look at a picture of him and see that he's taken a dick or two in his day.
He has definitely seen more than his share up close.
I was just Googling Marco Rubio gay on images, and they're really funny. There's one of him as like dressed up as like a unicorn in a Photoshop.
All right, so I'm gonna
Somebody
look up Marco
photoshopped like
Rubio. I'm gonna go to images. I'm gonna look up Marco Rubio, fag. And one of the first pictures I got was Morgan Freeman saying, "He's right, you know." Oh shit! Speaking of creepy Republicans, did you see Ted Cruz's daughter's reaction to him trying to hold her?
Yeah, like during that live interview, he's like, "Come here, let me kiss you," and she was like, "Get the fuck off me, you creep."
So was she like autistic or something?
I don't know. Or maybe she just realizes how creepy her father is.
I'm actually gonna
He's
Google if
disgusting.
she's autistic. Oh shit! That was like one of the first. Let's see here. Is she autistic? Blah blah blah. Huh. Yeah, I'm thinking she was either autistic or old Teddy got a case of the bad touch.
I can definitely see it.
I sure wouldn't want to see it.
That's for goddamn right. Speaking of also weird inappropriate relationships, Yeb and his mom.
Oh, I'm not a. Ugh.
There's something going on there. It's weird.
Yeesh.
And every time he tries to trot out her or W, his poll numbers drop.
Has he done anything that's made his poll numbers rise?
Him dropping out of the race would make his poll numbers rise, I think.
Yeah. I feel so bad for the guy. It's like
I feel bad for Consuela. Or whatever, his wife.
Ah, man.
Yeah.
Did no one
She
ever?
comes to America, the daughter of some like itinerant farmer, and she ends up with Yeb.
Wait,
She would have been better off just being an itinerant farmer.
Was she not? I thought she was Herbert Walker's maid.
She may have been eventually. I know that's been like she came here with her dad.
I mean, I'm not saying the married his
Columba.
dad's maid, but I'm also not willing to say that he didn't.
I'm looking.
Yeah. Well,
It doesn't say. It wouldn't say on Wikipedia. That shit's probably scrubbed.
right? Can't have the pros knowing that. Whew. So is that what we got on the debate?
I mean, you're the one who watched it. I'm just going by headlines and Ruby uh-ohs.
Ruby, uh-oh. Well, we were trying to come up with a good name for him earlier. Let me see. What did I write down? Robo fuckboy?
I mean,
Good old Robo Fuckboy.
Yeah, if you want to be super obvious, we got Marco Robato,
Oh,
Marco Rubio.
I think I like Marco Rubato. I think that's my favorite.
Domo Origato, Marco Robato.
Am I a bad enough dude to do a? Have you seen a Blinka 1488?
Yes.
Do a Domo Arigato Marco Rubato song for the site?
Do it.
All right. It's one of my favorite songs, and I love singing it. If you ever get drunk with me at a karaoke bar, try to keep me from singing that.
No, I don't want to.
Dude, I once sang a
I
Meatloaf
want to
song.
see it.
Me and some chick sang a Meatloaf song at a karaoke bar one night, like freaking Paradise by the Dashboard Lights or something. It was the longest 7.5 minutes of my life.
I'm sure. Why did they even have that song? Like,
I don't know.
Who wants to hear some fucking amateurs singing a 7.5 minute song?
Oh, even better, like that night the bar was extra diverse. And, like the basically the entire bar is filled with these ghetto divas. So they're doing R&B songs all night that I cannot tell the difference between like a single one of the songs. My body, all over your body.
It sounds like a Steve song in American Dad.
I consider the entire genre to be just one long song.
It's all the same beat.
Yep. All right. So you want to take a quick refresher and come back in?
Yeah.
Talk about what we had to do other than the debate.
My penis glass is getting empty.
Ah, man, it's just great watching my webcast partner drink out of a glass that has a decorative dong painted on the side. What the hell are you drinking out of that anyway?
The old lady found this while she was cleaning. It was from her wedding shower, or our wedding shower, I guess, or bridal shower, whatever it's called. And she said, "You know, it'd be real funny. I know you and Roscoe had the video up. If you drink out of this glass, see if he notices." I didn't make it very discreet, so he noticed immediately. But yeah, it says to have and to hold, and it's got like a dick and balls on it. It's pretty funny.
Well,
I feel a little gay drinking out of it, but it's pretty funny.
Just do your best, bro. All right, so play us out.
What do you want to hear?
I don't know, just to play us out. What does that mean?
I don't know. Do you want to hear music, or do you want me to say stuff? Use words.
Maybe a combination of both would be nice.
All right, let's see what we have. Let's find something short. No, we don't want that. That's our intro. How about this? This feels real appropriate since I'm drinking out of a dick glass.
I don't know what it is.
What? I didn't hear you at all.
I just want to blow a guy. I don't even know what it is.
All right, guys. We're Exodus Americanus. We'll catch you back here in just a minute or two. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to the second half of Exodus Americanus. This half, I think the second half we usually do something, I don't know, a little less like
Topical.
current. Yeah, topical is what I was looking for.
Just like my
We do a
favorite ointment.
We- There's a. Already we're getting way off topic. And we were talking about Blink 1488 in the first half, but Blink 182's live album, the Mark Tom and Travis show. There's a line, and there's just a lot of like banter and bullshit in between the tracks. And I don't know if it was that like in between that or like the last track is just like 30 minutes of just them fucking off that they put all together. And one of them's like, "What if all medications only came in ointment form, and you had to apply them directly to your testicles?" So now when anybody ever says ointment on anything,
That's
that
what you
pops
think
into
of.
my head because it's so fucking funny.
Ooh-wee. Speaking of news, I just saw the New Hampshire poll. Looks
Which one?
like that Rubio bubble's popped.
They want to come out since we talked about in the first half.
Well, I was looking at that Real Clear Politics, and they have everything laid out in a nice, neat line graph form.
I want to see the line graph. Send that to me real quick.
I would love to send you this. But one thing I wanted to mention before we really got into our next topic was Trump brought the torture argument back to the forefront.
Well, can you really call it torture?
Look, dude, you let me waterboard you for a minute, and I'll get you to call it whatever you want. You let me waterboard you for a minute, and I'll make you say that it was your idea to waterboard you. Like, I used to be completely against all that, like, enhanced interrogation and all that kind of shit. I've kind of gotten to the point now where I've realized how foolish it is to extend your standards to enemies that have none.
Project your values onto the enemy and thinking they'll keep the same.
Yep. It's a losing proposition. And I feel like if somebody is actually your enemy, you need to face them with the absolute most unrestrained ferocity that you possibly can.
So I'm looking at this RCP thing you sent me. Where's Bush at? He's in green. He spiked a little bit at the beginning of February, I guess.
Not
Is that
enough
when he
to-
trotted out? I mean, it's probably when he trotted out his mom, and people were like, "Holy shit, she's still alive!"
Right? Everybody's like, is
Gotta love
he
that
about to
spike.
kiss his mom on the... Oh, no, I didn't want to see that. Yep, kissing Mama Bush on the mouth. No thanks.
Ugh.
So...
Yep.
But
So do you want to lead into what you want to talk about? What you were doing last night instead of watching the debate?
So I was working yesterday. My old ball and chain sends me a text message asking me if I would like to, curl up, spend some time with her, and watch a movie. And I got home, about 7 or so, and thought about, getting the debate turned on. It's like, you know what? Let's watch The Dark Knight Rises. So that's what I was doing last night instead of watching the debate. I was watching the origin of Bane posting. And if you're listening to this, odds are you know what Bane posting is. If you don't, Bane posting is fucking hilarious. But I haven't watched the DKR since 2012. There were a lot of things that seemed a lot different to me this time, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, when I first watched it, I had seen something right before obviously, didn't somebody shoot up the theater during this one?
Yeah,
Well,
that was
when
when
the guy
Lanza
done this one?
shot up the theater.
Yeah. But all that was in the news, but barely below that was somebody talking about this was Hollywood's take on Occupy Wall Street. Excuse me. And so I went in thinking, this is going to be some, let's praise Occupy Wall Street. Let's, kiss their fucking nutsacks, and it turned out to be the exact opposite. They took Occupy Wall Street and took it to its extreme ending. Well, I
Bane
mean, not even extreme ending; it's natural ending.
Bane agreed, amplified with Occupy Wall Street all the way to their graves.
I don't know if he agreed. He
Mm.
he knew what they stood for, knew what they would do, and took and led. He knew what they would look up to and led them to their own end.
Right.
He let them make the choices basically to destroy themselves.
Mm-hmm. The choices that he knew that they would make. I mean, that was one of the things that, I was nowhere near the shitlord that I am now in 2012, and I'm like to think I'm a little bit more well read since then. And one of the things that really stood out to me was that Batman and Bane were both, with Bruce Wayne's one-man war on crime and Bane's, what would you call it? Trimming fat, purging, reductionist.
I like Purge better.
I mean, they were both responding to the same feeling of imminent social decay, right? But Bruce felt like he could keep it on life support and keep it alive, and Bane felt like it was, cruel to do that, put it out of its damn misery.
Hey, I don't know if Bruce thought he could keep it on life support. I think he was more optimistic than that. More he could by what he was doing, he could change the way people felt and have them take back their own lives.
I can see that from a trying to go overly psychological on it. It almost feels like it's a. I had one of my grandparents was put into indigent care after a really bad stroke, and one of my dad's brothers was the one who was given the power of attorney. And my grandparent was only cognizant maybe once every few months. And when she was, all she wanted to do was die. I mean, she asked me, asked my dad, it's my grandma, asked all of us, just to let her die and be with her husband, my grandfather. And the longer I've looked back and thought about that, my uncle, who was the one keeping her alive, damn sure wasn't doing it for her.
That's not to interject in your story, but that's a hard decision to make. That's a thankless job to.
It's
in my line of work. In my line of work, I deal with a lot of people who are on the other side of that after the person has passed. Trying not to dox myself for my line of work, but I deal with it after that, and everyone who comes in saying that was the most miserable, experience of my life. You have to make choices that you don't want to make, and
Yep.
100 years ago you wouldn't have to make.
No.
Not even 100 years ago, 50 years ago you wouldn't have to make.
No. Like
But because of our technology now, we can keep these people alive, whether for or against their will, whether it's better for them or worse for them. But okay.
But
sorry.
my point was, I almost see Bruce's, desperate clinging, his desperate fight is, almost similar to my uncle's. That he's not necessarily doing it for society. That he is doing this to give himself purpose and meaning. But
I can see that too. It's hard, to like you said, get psychological on a movie when you're only presented with those exact circumstances and nothing else.
yeah, and I mean, I'm a huge comic book fan. Like the Grant Morrison Batman run is one of my absolute favorite things. And that was one of my problems going into the movie the first time. I was overly conflating movie Bane and comic book Bane. So I think I sort of missed some of the thematic things that they were going for with Bane. Like the commentary that was more or less passed on Occupy Wall Street through Bane. I don't think I picked up a lot of that my first time through.
I don't know if I would or wouldn't have had I not, saw that article or headline or whatever before I saw it. But looking back, I definitely know I would see it.
Yeah.
Just because, I think when it came out, Occupy Wall Street was in its infancy,
Mhm.
basically, and everybody was making fun of it and all that stuff, and then they stuck around for far too long and like trashed every park that they stayed in.
Yup. It's like if you want to know the difference between Occupy and a Tea Party, go walk the grounds after they leave.
Exactly. Yeah, you go look at the Party rallies on the national lawn, and you won't find a speck of trash. Go to an Occupy rally on the same lawn, and it is destroyed.
Shit looks like it needs fucking quarantined. People are getting raped left and right.
It looks like it was like Woodstock.
I think it's so entertaining that, they want to accuse guys like me and you of being the misogynist and being the progenitors of the war on women. Yeah, I don't think any of the political rallies I've ever been to or anything like that have ever had to have rape-free zones.
Speaking of rape, that guy who's been like advocating rape and all that, I saw this on Drudge. He was like doing some, I don't even know who the fuck he is or what he stands for, except for he's pro rape. He was trying to organize some like rally or something, and he had to shut it down because of unwanted threats. It's like, really, dude, you don't see the fucking irony in there? You're advocating sexual violence, yet you're shutting down your own event because you're worried about violence against yourself?
That's kind of, like I've always said, I can win an argument with any moral relativist. All I need is a pair of pliers and some duct tape.
You need to put that on Twitter. In the break, we said we'd be right back. It turned into like 45 minutes of us just shit posting on Twitter.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes we're real good about getting right back to the mic after we take our break. We say what we're going to do. We go to the bathroom. We fill up our cup. And we get right back into it. And then some days like today, we see something on Twitter that sets us off.
Oh, man. Like, I never knew the appeal of Twitter until I, put on my socks and got involved on Twitter for our project here. But it is insanely fun. I mean, you can do
We
the
still
verbal.
haven't got banned by Rick Wilson yet.
We're working on it, one thing at a time. On my Twitter bingo, two of the things I need now is a like from Ann Coulter, and then a like from Donald Trump on a Twitter comment. That's all I need.
Have you got the Seventh Son to like you yet?
Oh yeah, a few
I
times.
don't think I've gotten him.
Got some Richard Spencer.
Yeah, well, I got Richard Spencer and like 100 other likes off of our Richard Spencer fat shit haircut post.
Dude, I appreciate you calling it our. That was 100% Mr. Stone project.
It was a spark of brilliance and 10 minutes of Googling and another 10 minutes of Microsoft Paint. It was zero effort.
All right, so I'm gonna try to focus us here.
Okay.
Last time when we were on topic, we were talking about The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes.
And what I sort of wanted to use as a segue was that Bane and Bruce were both in their own way responding to their awareness of the Kali Yuga. the coming dark age. And I kind of think of, for lack of I don't want to say everybody knows that our number's about to be up, that shit's about to get real. But I think there's a lot of symptoms of it. I mean, I think in our own way, that's why we started doing this.
Mm-hmm.
It's I've been thinking about the the Kali Yuga, sort of from a metaphysical standpoint the last few weeks, in that it's natural for things to die, right? Like everything has a timeline. Like everything is finite. And that that applies to institutions, it applies to nations, to empires, everything.
So let me jump in here and explain what the Kali Yuga is real quick. So it's a Hindu philosophy that we're I guess
it's a 5,000-year-old prophecy about the end.
Yeah. So basically there's 4 ages called yugas, and I don't know, I forget what the first 3 are. I can look it up real quick.
It's basically Bronze Age, or a Golden Age, Bronze Age, and Iron Age. I think the Iron Age is the most similar to the Kali Yuga.
But they're called the Satya Yuga, the Treta Yuga, the Dvapara Yuga, and the Kali Yuga. And they go 4,800 years, 3,600 years, 2,400 years, and 1,200 years, respectively. And the first one is, like you said, the Golden Age. It's where people are giants. They're super powerful, honest. They live for 100,000 years. I don't know how they live for 100,000 years when the age is only 4,800 years. But we're not going to get into that part. But basically, as you go down in between the ones, humanity gets smaller and more deceitful, more deceitful,
more merchanty. So here's a quick question: can you hear the word merchant anymore without laughing?
I cannot.
All right.
Just
had to make sure it wasn't just me.
Who has the Merchant Minute? Is that the Showa, or is that?
That is the Daily Showa.
That's a Showa.
Oh, it's so good. The Merchant Minute. Miraku. I love that guy.
Hey, the Fash has the Europa report, right, which is also great.
But I think I'm just now really starting to get into and kind of understand the Kali Yuga thing, and it's not that, oh, I believe in these 5,000-year-old prophecies or whatever, but I think in our current discourse and where we are right now, it offers us a lot of good vocabulary, if you will.
Yeah, and I think how we were trying to present this is that the Kali Yuga, or the Yuga system, is cyclical, where time repeats itself after you go through the 4 stages of the Yuga. After the Kali Yuga ends, it repeats itself, and humanity goes through a golden age again, and that's like in tune with a lot of like Eastern philosophies, whereas Western is more of a linear process, where the past is done, we live in the present, and we worry or plan about the future.
Well, that's that liberal idea that society is on a constantly climbing arc, right?
Supposedly.
Yeah. I mean, you can look at the end of the Roman Empire as a Kali Yuga.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Oh no, it's I was going to mention, I've been listening to the recent Ascending the Tower podcast. That's from Social Matter. Social Matter is, the alt-right's gotten to the point where it encompasses a lot of people. I think neo-reactionary is where I would drop them. But they've been talking a lot about right-wing esoterics the last few weeks. And I would implore both of our listeners to go and check that out.
All one of you. Now we got like, I think we have like a dozen followers on SoundCloud now, and our YouTube account's been blowing up. So people have been listening to us on YouTube. So,
All right.
and we can't, you can't see the people who listen to you on YouTube. You can see if they subscribe, but not if they listen. So it's a little bit goofy. But we do thank you all for listening.
Yeah, guys,
Like we do every episode.
We that's what we're here for. We're here to do the jobs you don't want to do. Like watch that fucking debate.
Although shit posting it next time we live tweet, I mean that's the most fun. Like it's a lot different between watching a debate and just trying to like watch it, and watching a debate and picking out all the bullshit and yelling it to the masses.
Well, there's also, like, I think you and I have both been at this point where our first inclination is to argue and to try to present the correct facts. And it's just not how you reach people, man. I mean, what are people going to respond more to? Like us calling Marco Rubio a fag in some really funny way? Or us posting, like, all of his voting records?
The former.
It's just how it is, man.
I mean, I'll do this anecdote. There's somebody who posts like all this. You go on Facebook and people post these like stories about stuff, and all it takes is one quick Google search to debunk it. And every time I see one, I just Google search it, find the debunking, post it. And I'm saying next time you post something like this, please Google before you post it. And what do they do next week? The exact same thing. What do I do the next week? The exact same thing. And they just keep, it's a cyclical cycle.
Yeah,
I go back to that, I guess. That's a good seg into it.
So one of the
Cyclical
things
and linear timelines. I was gonna say we've been talking, the way we view things, I think it's pretty much the same. We think of time as more helical, as a spiral.
And if I can, I had a quote, or I said something earlier when we were doing our pre-show that history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's the real, the sets change, the actors change, the set pieces change, the props change, but the story is fundamentally the same.
Yeah, it's the same play.
Mm-hmm.
Just for a different generation. And if you think about a helix, it's a spiral, either upwards or downwards, whatever way you want to look at it, but something is always above it and something's always below it. And you can draw those, perpendicular lines. And, like you said in our prep, you can draw a lot of parallels, even though they're completely different, between the collapse of the Holy Roman Empire and the collapse of the Soviet Union. The exact same symptoms showed themselves for drastically different forms of government, drastically different forms of civilization.
Mm-hmm. And a drastically different people holding those civilizations. And I think that is, the key here is to look at things almost like they're biological. That if a society, reaches, the specific point, it's a predictable action and reaction, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Is that, when a society gets comfortable, when there's an abundance of wealth, mass degeneracy always seems to take place. And I'm not saying degeneracy like Marco Rubio hanging out with people in Alice Rainwhite Park. I mean degeneracy like things breaking down. And that's what I guess I've been wrestling with the last week or two, is that it's like a wave on the beach. There's nothing you can do to stop it from crashing on the shore. That it is the natural order of things. And something I said to you earlier, I thought was pretty poignant. That at this point, saving America, saving the United States, effectively changes it in such a way that it, you can count it as death or destruction. Like any rebirth or repair is going to be so drastic that it will be something new that takes its place.
Absolutely. And I mean, I was gonna butt in there, but I'll let you keep going. I think we are on the edge of, we're at the turning point. We either go to the left or we go to the alt right. There's no difference at this point. We either take back this country with a nationalist policy, or we're done.
Well, if we take back the country with nationalism, it's going to change the way. Like, the country is not going to look like anything that you and I have ever experienced.
Exactly. I mean, hell, when the immigration policy changed in 1965, my dad was not even a year old. So nothing my parents have ever seen.
Same here. Like, my dad wasn't, he might be a little older than your dad, but as far as functional, relevance. But it's going to get weird, boys and girls, and it's going to suck. But I'm actually something, Mr. Stone, I wanted to see if you were in agreement with me. So that, let America, the United States of America, Britain, France, Spain, hell, the idea of a nation state in general, that might be done.
Well, a nation state as we know it. I mean, they could be going back to I guess a nation state and going back to more city states. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying that there's no amount of breakdown that is off the table at this point.
No.
And, the national atomization could be such. Like, I personally believe that the future of the United States is balkanization. And I've said that on here before. But look at one of the things that really stood out to me about the Iowa poll was over 90% of the new voters went for Trump.
And that's the worst thing about the caucus. It doesn't matter what they want. It matters what the guy in charge wants.
Oh, for sure. But 90% of new voters were going for Trump. That ought to tell you about where the future's headed. And
I mean, I'm excited about. I have been, in 2008 and 2012, I was dreading the future. But not now. Like, I am actually optimistic about the future of this country for once.
I am too.
I've seen these polls. I see where we're headed. It gets me. The quote, Chris Matthews, it sends a thrill down my leg.
I gotta say, like, I don't think it's good enough for us to be the inheritors of civilization, for us to just, take what our fathers and forefathers built and try to carry it on. There's a time when just inheriting would have been enough. And there's a time when I think just holding the line would have been enough. But I think we're at a point in the mimetic warfare, the social war, at a point in history where men like you and I, like men like our listeners, men and women like our listeners, it's up to us to stand forth in the gap and say the collapse of Western civilization, the death of Western civilization is canceled until we say so.
Yeah, it will not happen on our watch.
Like, that is my divining principle. For a long time, it was just, civilization. That's what I'm focused on. That's what my moral barometer is set on. Does this keep the lights going? And that's not enough anymore. It's canceled until we say so. Will to fucking power, brah.
I love it. That's a good optimistic message, I think. At least to me. You know, you see all this shit. I mean, you see Hillary not be. You haven't seen anything done to Hillary yet, even though all the crimes that she's committed. You see the left basically having everybody with the top, well, all but 3 of the top 10 candidates all but 3 of the remaining 10 candidates for the Republican Party being on the left. I mean, you got a Canadian, you got a homo.
All right, so let me throw something out there real quick. Like, I'm a native Aboriginal from Australia. Mr. Stone is a member of the Bantu tribe. No, that's bullshit. We're both Anglo Americans. And I'm not gonna speak for him, but I'll say for me, like, I like living around other Anglo Americans. I like my history. I like my people. And everyone, except for 1 or 2 guys that were on that stage last night, basically said, "Fuck you, fuck your history. We're gonna relegate you to the dustbin of time. We're going to genocide you through demographics."
I just don't know why you had to call me black in that last example.
I claimed I was an Aboriginal.
Yeah, it's a different kind of black. You're comparing me with what, like Nelson Mandela or something?
I was comparing myself to people that they have to run advertisements on television to not sleep in the road. Like, absolutely not shitting you. They run TV advertisements in Australia for the Abos, telling them not to drink petrol and take naps on the highway.
Those are 2 of my favorite things, so maybe I should have been the Aboriginal.
Ah, well. Next time I'll remember it. But
yeah, but I want to try to take steam out of your.
No.
I just had to get that in there.
All
these other people besides Carson, Fiorina, and Trump are advocating for open borders. Even Cruz, who says he's not advocating for open borders, he was part of the Gang of 8.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
And then he was like, "Oh no, I was part of it to try to sabotage it, but yet I voted for all this shit that would keep it safe."
Yeah. I mean, it's hard when the official line from both parties is, "Hey, white guy, you and everybody like you gotta go." It's hard not to looking for a different camp to join up with, right?
Yeah, I'm not really liking the genocide of my peoples.
Right? As a white guy, I'm against white genocide. But that's the thing, like we were talking about last, Trump isn't, sort of towing that line of get rid of whitey. Like, just his ambivalence towards white people. Like, just the fact that he doesn't, like, I would say Trump doesn't give a shit about race or sex or anything. If he gives you the job and you meet or exceed the bottom line, Trump is happy that you're an employee.
Yeah, the worst thing that it got about him is one of his contractors may or may not have hired a illegal immigrant one time, maybe. And then they interviewed those people who may or may not have worked for him, and they're like, "Oh no, we love working on this job." That's the worst thing they have. So Trump hires a general contractor who then hires out the subcontractors. And one of the subcontractors may or may not have hired an illegal immigrant. Because they never really test the background of these people that they interview. And then they interview them and try to have this hit piece, and they're like, "No, we fucking loved working on this project. They paid us a bunch. They were great to us."
Yeah, like when we, and wasn't one of those, like, if I'm remembering right, that was one of those projects that had like a lot of incentives to complete early. They do that on a lot of construction projects. They put in like a heavy incentives to finish it early.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys just went ham on that shit. But I mean,
that's basically how a lot of construction projects work. You get it done early, you get more. If you pass this deadline, then you have to start paying us back.
Mm-hmm.
That happened to a local road project near me, and they went like they just like the company went out of business and just kind of like left the project going. So this road was like a quarter completed, and they owed the government like millions of dollars because it was like a $15,000 fine every day that they didn't have it done.
If you remember, the city that we went to our undergrad in, one of the major bridges there, a contracting company was paid to refurb the bridge, and they just fucking bailed in the middle of it. Like, they kept having dudes fall off and die. And they're like, well, we're out. just fucking left.
I do remember that.
That's a sign of the Kali Yuga right there.
Too many of our employees are dying. We're gone.
Well, I meant just the rotting away of the infrastructure.
No, I know.
Yeah, but
But that's what made me laugh.
I'm thinking I'm about ready to start putting my feet up and getting ready to watch some Murder Ball.
The Suburb Owl is about to take flight here in another 2 hours or so.
We got anything else? I'm feeling like we put together a nice little show this week.
Yeah.
Despite me just destroying my fucking laptop right before
And
we're
all the
supposed to
notes.
start recording. Yeah, all my notes, all my drops. You might have realized we didn't have any drops today. It's because I went Ted DiBiase on my laptop and just crushed it.
I've got some drops.
Can we hear a drop?
You want to go do karate in the garage? Yup.
Oh man, I wish you had that whole song. That could be a great outro song.
It could be. Maybe I'll do that. I'll look it up.
We can be all like,
Affiliation.
I don't get that joke, but I get a joke about that joke.
You have to watch Friday. I saw a commercial. I think TBS or something is going to be playing next Friday, which is a sequel.
I assume.
But it's been so long since I've seen Friday. Nobody ever puts it online. I'm gonna have to. I guess I'm gonna have to pirate it. You know, if they'd make it easy to watch this shit, then we wouldn't have to pirate stuff.
Well, talking about economic models, you look at what Apple did with their iTunes and making it like $1 to buy your favorite song. I mean, they made it easier to buy songs than it was to pirate them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you win in the free market. I mean, hopefully we don't have to explain market nuance to our listeners.
I hope not. If so, we're not the right show. We're the introduction to the alt-right. You need to go find an introduction to
an introduction
life.
to the introduction. Go watch Bill Whittle videos for a little while, then come back to us. When you realize
when
that
you're good
Bill's
and
missing something.
when you're good and autistic, then you're welcome to come back.
All right, man. I think that's about it for me.
Is that all we got?
That's all we got.
All right. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to Exodus Americanus. Here's our patented outro. Go listen to us at soundcloud.com/Exodus Americanus. Our website, exodusamericanus.com. Click those ads. Hit that donations
good boy
button.
Give us some good boy points.
Oh, good boy points. Yeah, I haven't figured out.
Points.
I think I saw in the code where I can change the where it looks for that image. I just haven't gotten around to create my own image yet because that sounds like a giant pain in my ass.
I bet we can find a customizable PayPal button.
Probably.
But that's off the air shit.
Yeah, off the air shit. Like we said, soundcloud.com/Exodus Americanus, exodusamericanus.com, youtube.com. Look for us, Exodus Americanus. Twitter @Exo Americanus, @Roscoe SB Jones, @Mr. Stone XO. You know, all that good shit. But thanks for listening. We appreciate everybody, and enjoy the Superb Owl.
all the refugees come to our countries. We will welcome you, 'cause the Jews told us to. Hey there, go slow when you rape my butthole. Touching, raping, Islamification. Say it ain't so, they raped your butthole. Don't be a cuckold, send them all home. Allahu Akbar, 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 Allahu Akbar. Rape night, dildos, immigrants suck, I know, refugee centers burning to the ground. Whites are really angry now, say it ain't so, they raped your butthole, don't be a cuckold, send them all home. Allahu Akbar, 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 Allahu Akbar.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on. We have no choice. We have no choice.
Say it ain't so, they rape your butthole, don't be a cuckold, send them all home. Keep your ass still, you'll be our shill. The rape will go on, this is Allah's will. Say it ain't so, they raped your butthole. Don't be a cuckold, send them all home. Keep your ass still, you'll be our shill. The rape will go on, this is Allah's will. This is Allah's will.
Somebody's doing the raping.